Friday edition, Mr. Irrelevant. Alex Strouf, Will Sommers, Hunter Vaughn with you on this Friday. Joshy didn't tell anybody he was off, so Will joins me in studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Crazy person move. Texted me at like 5 o'clock yesterday. Hey, I forgot. I'm taking tomorrow off.
He's so good at that.
And then conveniently, the printer stopped working this morning. I was at a war with the printer. I think Josh might have had something to do with it.
Well, we talked about my printer struggles the other day on KBN, which maybe we can get to and what we missed later. But I hate printers. That's the story for now. Ton to get to today. Ton to get to. Really big show. Really excited for today's show. Brad Nortman will join us in about 10 minutes or so, which he does and will every Friday leading through the Super Bowl. So looking forward to visiting with Brad Nortman because I am operating under the belief that no news is not good news or no news is big news in Green Bay. We'll explain why a little bit later in the show. But I want to start here because I'd like to wish everybody a happy anniversary. A happy anniversary on January 16th of 2026.
Good
Today, the
news
1 year
or no
anniversary. Today, the 1 year anniversary of when Brian Gutekunst stepped in front of a microphone at 1265 Lombardi Avenue and responded to a Jason Wilde question with the following comments that we played all offseason long last year. Brian Gutekunst 1 year ago today at Lambeau Field.
I think for me, the thing that's been on my mind, I think, as we've concluded this season, is we need to continue to ramp up our sense of urgency. These opportunities don't come. The life of a player in the National Football League is not very long. We got a bunch of good guys in that locker room. We got a bunch of talented guys in that locker room, and I think it's time that we start competing for championships, right? And I think they're ready.
I think they're ready. I remember when he said that. I think we all remember when he said that because that mattered. That was the general manager of the Green Bay Packers drawing the line in the sand and saying a wild card exit is not good enough for what this team should accomplish under Matt LaFleur, under a $55 million quarterback, and going forward in a quote-unquote all-in era for the Green Bay Packers. So a year later, we revisit. We revisit a year later and think, did the organization, did Brian Gutekunst, did Matt LaFleur, did Ed Policy over the course of the last year, did they operate with urgency in mind and the idea for competing for championships as soon as possible front of mind? And I don't necessarily want to answer that question yet, but rather revisit what we've seen the last year. Free agency, an offensive lineman in Aaron Banks and a cornerback in Nate Hobbs. Those were the two big-ish free agency signings. Fast forward to the draft in your parking lot in Green Bay, the NFL draft last year. First round wide receiver Matthew Golden, second round offensive lineman Anthony Belton, third round wide receiver Savion Williams. Doesn't address the defense at all in the draft, only addresses it with a depth cornerback in free agency. And then all of a sudden, you get to August. And this screams urgency, which is trading for Micah Parsons, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. But that was it, right? That is effectively what you get from January 16th of last year to January 16th of this year. That is the urgency and Brian Gutekunst saying, this is how we're going to compete for championships. So what does that tell you? It tells you there's a belief in the coaching staff. There's a belief in the players that were already in the building. And he thought that Aaron Banks, Nate Hobbs, and Micah Parsons and Matthew Golden was enough to bring you over the edge. Ultimately, it wasn't. You go 9-8-1 overall this year. You lose the last 5 games you appear in. And you melt down a couple different times in that 5-game losing streak, including the wild card round of the playoffs against your arch rival. I don't know if they're ready to start competing for championships. That's not to say Brian Gutekunst didn't operate with urgency. But there's another piece of this. A year later, we hear the word urgency screamed, the word urgency said by the general manager. And what have we talked about all week? We've talked about the Packers head coach. Will he, won't he, will he, won't he? Will there be an extension? Will he coach on one final year of his deal? Absolutely no urgency from the president and CEO in terms of locking up Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur for their futures. There's no urgency being shown by Matt LaFleur in terms of making changes to his coaching staff, assuming he's back in 2026. There's no urgency this week. Look at every team that got eliminated last weekend. Think of the Chargers. They fire their offensive coordinator. Think of Pittsburgh. Their head coach is out. That's urgency. The season ends. Let's start focusing on next season. The Packers haven't operated at all with urgency this week. Adam Stenavich, Rich Bisaccia still employed. Luke Butkus still employed. There's no deal for the future for Brian Gutekunst. There's no deal for the future for Matt LaFleur. So a year after the word urgency is spouted by the general manager, no urgency. Plenty more to get into, but I'll give you the floor.
I think to Brian Gutekunst, urgency is just a word. I don't think he actually feels that. It's like if you bought like a couch or something and you needed to get a couch assembled, but you insisted on doing it yourself instead of having somebody else assemble it and move it in. It's going to take longer, like we've seen with this team. Every player he cheaps out on takes forever to develop. And then 2, it's not going to be built as well. Like it seems like at times he's trying to fix a flat tire with duct tape.
Yeah.
Like the solution to the weak secondary was not Nate Hobbs, right? Like this, I just think that he just tries to do, and we're seeing it right now with Matt LaFleur, he tries to get the best deal possible. He does not care about the quality because if he had any urgency, he wouldn't care how much they paid Matt LaFleur. I mean, obviously he'd care, but he would give him however much money he wants because I believe Matt LaFleur is the right guy for the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only teams that lost last week and haven't made changes are Carolina, and I may have missed something, and Green Bay. Because as Bill points out, Philly lost Sunday, fired their offensive coordinator on Monday, and interviewing candidates now.
Like if you had urgency, you would have already signed Matt LaFleur, and you would be looking ahead to see what you can do next year to make sure that this does not happen again. Mm-hmm. And the Micah Parsons thing, I actually think revealed that more. Like that was an urgent move, but once he got hurt, you realized, hey, the rest of these guys on defense especially really aren't that good. What would the whole season have been like without Micah Parsons?
Yeah. But I even the Micah Parsons thing, because I think the quote itself, right? I think it's time we start competing for championships, urgency, yada, yada, what he said 1 year ago today, that sets expectations higher than just one trade, right? One franchise-altering move, right? Because as big of a trade and as crazy of a trade and as good of a trade as that was by Brian Gutekunst, we can give him all the credit in the world for pulling the trigger on that move. Saying it's time we start competing for championships, that's not just we need to get back and win the North. We need to get back in the playoffs and win a game on the road, whatever, right? That the expectation is not be the 7 seed, go to Chicago and hopefully win, which they ultimately lost, and then hope you can rattle off a few more. The hope is, hey, we're here to stay, man. We've got the quarterback. We've got the coach. We've got the players. Saying it's time we start competing for championships, that wasn't lived up to this year. Now, you can blame injuries. You can blame the coaching shortcomings. But that's my frustration personally, is when a general manager goes in front of a microphone, and by the way, I saw somebody says, when will he finally speak? He has not talked to the media since the Micah Parsons trade. He didn't talk at the trade deadline. He didn't talk at the bye week. Hasn't talked postseason. Hasn't talked, and there's nothing scheduled. So we won't hear from him, I would imagine, until maybe his extension is announced. Hunter, go ahead.
I think you guys are putting the blame on Goody for the on-field performance when the moves he made, I think were all moves of saying like, yep, we view Aaron Banks as being a guy that can be better and help this O-line be better. Obviously the trade, those didn't pan out, but I think his moves and his intention through the draft and everything else that he did was all saying, yes, we want to win a championship. It didn't pan out, and that sucks, and you can have the conversation then of okay, his ability to evaluate talent and things like that. But I think the frustration, I think, really should be more on the Matt LaFleur and the players themselves in this situation. I think Goody's done a great job.
I think you're taking a very grown-up approach to this, which I don't know that's incorrect. But saying, hey, the moves he made didn't work, are part of the job evaluation, right? Like, Hunter, you're a Cowboys fan. And this might be the worst example in the NFL because I think you actually could make a case that what I'm about to ask you is not true. But do you believe Jerry Jones' intention every year is to win the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay, that's why I said it was a bad example.
Yeah.
But I think you understand my point regardless,
Yes.
right? Is every general manager in the National Football League, all 32 of them, their intention is to build a roster that competes for a championship. All 32. They're all playing for the same goal. Now, of course, you can give examples of, this team probably wants to lose because they're not there yet. Or Jerry Jones, probably, like I said, the worst example in the National Football League. But my ultimate point is, Goody has the same goal as the other 31 general managers. It's to field the championship roster and win a Super Bowl. It's every team's goal. And because he signed players that didn't live up to it, right? Aaron Banks, who's San Francisco, who, by the way, very well-run organization, let walk. Well, maybe he's not as good as they paid him to be. Elton Jenkins, moving him to center. I don't know if that was a Goody call, LaFleur call, or a combo of both. That didn't work. It didn't work. It was a bad idea. And it was bad until he got injured. And luckily, Sean Ryan was a little bit of an upgrade because it was just more of a natural fit for him than it was Elton Jenkins. I'm not saying fire Goody. I'm not saying Goody hasn't earned an extension. I think when you make the swing that he made, which of course is trading for Micah Parsons, you go ahead and validate a lot of the things that you're trying to accomplish and trying to achieve. But I just, a year later, it still leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth that the Green Bay Packers have not found a way to compete for a championship. 9-8-1, their final record this season. All right, this is a conversation where I'm very much looking to having an adult in the room a year later. Urgency, very emotional word. And we are here on the 1-year anniversary of Brian Gutekunst saying urgency and competing for championships.
Yeah,
Brad
I think it's time
Nortman
that we
is
start
here now
competing for
on
championships.
Mr. Relevant. Yeah, there you have it. It's been a year, Brad. How do you evaluate that claim from Goody?
When I hear urgency, I think of like fast-forwarded expectation, right? Okay, so I think when Goody says that, his expectation is a certain level of performance throughout the season, off-season from the players himself, Matt LaFleur, and obviously how it comes and has itself in fruition for the 2025 season. I will be curious whenever he puts a mic in front of his face this offseason to figure out what tone he's trying to set for the offseason, because I think he's trying to push a level of expectation on this team, and that tone that he used and that word that he used, urgency, it has a triggering factor to it. And if last year was the year of urgency, what possibly word could he use this year to create more urgency? Because if there was urgency last year, it's supersized urgency this year. So when I heard that from Goody, who normally is reserved and will not give you any media fodder, he teed it up.
Fodder's a really good word.
Thank you. He teed it up.
To write that one down for
Yeah,
later.
that's right. Go ahead and use that. He teed it up for us to evaluate this team with a fine-tooth comb and a very fine filter. And I think we did that throughout the season. And if you're going to do that, you're left with incredibly disappointed feelings on how the season went and how it went this year. So a year later, sense of urgency, time that we start competing for championships. This team doesn't feel particularly closer to doing that, even with the addition of Micah Parsons, just given how everything ended.
I want to get to some of your comments on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee, at ESPN Madison, because I don't want to be misconstrued. I don't want to misrepresent what I'm saying. I don't think Goody's done a bad job necessarily. I just, to Brad's point, and that's why we bring the adult in the room because he can phrase it better than anybody else in the room, is he opened himself up for extreme criticism. And the whole team, right? Not just him, but Matt LaFleur, the roster makeup, some of the players. When you utter the words, it's time we start competing for championships, and you fall very short of that goal. You made the playoffs again, which is great, but 9-8-1 isn't an impressive record by any means. You barely snuck in as the 7th seed. You melt down the way you did. I mean, teams that win championships don't melt down multiple times in the same season the way the Packers did. So that's where the criticism's coming in. And it's not just a Goody thing. So Bill chimes in and says, yeah, I'm not mad at Goody at all. FMJ says, Goody has done a great job. Lots of talents. Free agent moves and a blockbuster trade. He's done all he can. That part I slightly disagree with, but your point is understood. And then Dr. Denver Dan chimes in and says, you guys are great, but there is not one adult in that room. Haha. Oh, wait, never mind. Brad is there.
Well, let me ask you, so a sense of urgency. knowing what we know now, because I think all offseason we're like, where's the urgency? First round draft pick and wide receiver when you felt like there was a void there. Trading for Micah Parsons. If you look at players, coaches, GM, who acted with the most urgency?
The GM.
The GM. Who was second, do you think? I mean, players and coaches are kind of combined. So I think Goody did his part to some degree to have a sense of urgency to compete this year. You go and trade 2 first-round draft picks. No GM wants to give up 2 first-round draft picks, and I mean no GM. I think a first-round wide receiver, trying to solve that problem of that number 1 wide receiver, and O-line, cornerbacks, those were areas of need. Now, he missed on Aaron Banks. He missed on Nate Hobbs, but at least he's trying to take those swings. D-line, O-line, cornerback, wide receiver, those were the 4 position groups where you felt like this team was lacking, and in his own way, he tried to tackle those and tried to solve those problems.
Yeah.
Now, it didn't really work out on every single one, but he operated with urgency.
Sure,
in my opinion.
I think you could make that case. Could you have wanted more or expected more? Yes. The Micah Parsons trade, and Will and I were talking about this a bit before, is yes, it's a very big swing. But when you draw the line in the sand, the metaphorical line in the sand that Goody did, I mean, that is setting the bar high. One
high.
single trade is not going to outlive or outmeasure a comment of that degree. So I think that's why I view it so important to revisit that today.
And I just wonder another thing, too. We know that Goody was in conversations with Trey Hendrickson, right? But that obviously never came to fruition. Most of the time when this happens, right? Think of Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, TJ Watt. There's all these rumors of, disgruntled, want contract. 99 times out of 100, no trade happens. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. If the Cowboys would have just, said, you know what, we're going to pay you, Micah. We do trust you. We get that we were all posturing. That urgency grade for Goody, for me, it goes from an A to like a C+.
That's true.
So that one trade, he should write a thank you card. He should send a Christmas card to Jerry Jones every year.
Do you think he does?
Do you think all the GMs do?
Not all of them.
I think they have this tight fraternity
Some of them are
among
tight.
one another.
You know what I'm really looking forward to, and I saw this on Twitter this week. The beef between Ben Johnson and LaFleur has so many waves.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the head coach picture at the annual meetings, at the league meetings at the end of February.
Who decides where they stand?
I think I don't know that there's a
And who always puts Andy Reid in the front?
Yeah, with his Bahamas shirt, Tommy Bahama shirt.
Well, because when we used to take team pictures,
Yeah.
the photographer would be like, okay, you go there. Oh, you gotta find your window. Yeah,
But typically you guys went in numerical order, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I just wonder if there was a photographer there saying, no, you go next to him, you go next to him, trying to optimize the picture, or if it's like, okay, everyone gather around, and they just snap the picture. That will be, I would, it seems to me that Matt LaFleur and his buddies in the coaching world, they're kind of like the cool kids.
Yeah, that's McVay, Shanahan, and himself, obviously.
Even like
formerly
Kevin O'Connell
McDaniel.
and Mike McDaniel. These are all the cool kids. And it seems to me that Ben Johnson is like the smart kid who just rubs everyone the wrong way, tries to embarrass you when you play chess and things like that. Where
I think he's like the badass biker with the leather jacket that all the jocks hate. That's how I see him.
Yeah, you don't sound like a Bears fan at all in this moment.
He doesn't have a lot of
Badass,
friends,
Ben
but people
Johnson.
respect him.
Hold on. Try to embarrass you in chess? Is that what you said?
Well, you know how
What cool kid
there'll
is
be
playing chess?
I played chess. I was in chess club.
There
Were you really?
Yeah.
Were you good?
No, it was horrible. I would just beat people by time. I would lull them to death.
Wow.
That's the only way I won.
Stamina, perseverance.
You were in chess club?
Yeah.
That blows me away. I would have never guessed that.
I love the idea of being great at chess. But I tried to learn it once, and even I was like, this is not for me.
My brother-in-law is so good at it that he literally does online lessons for people. And that's how he made
kidding.
some money during COVID. And he's ridiculous. I've never played him, but just from hearing him teaching people stuff, I'm like, okay, this guy's on a whole nother brain level than me.
Well, there you go.
A couple
Johnson,
of
chess player.
texts coming in right before Brad joined us. Ron in the Key on the Carbless text line, 800-990-3776. Another way you can get in. Ron in the Key says, Alex, your premise is flawed. There's a lot of evidence to suggest, easy for me to say, that pro sports franchises are not trying to win championships and rather are trying to remain competitive enough to drive revenue. Example is the summer of fun from the Brewers. I think baseball is a little bit different than the NFL. I think you can, of course, make go to examples, right? Tennessee or Las Vegas, that's a team that's not actively, the Jets, actively trying to win a championship this year. But I think there's more parity. There's more opportunity to win a championship faster and turn a franchise around faster in the NFL than there is in, say, the MLB. But I get your point regardless. Shefhead said they can't use that as an excuse, they can't use this as an excuse, but key injuries had a major impact on this team. If Tom, Kraft, and Parsons are back next season, I fully expect the Packers to be in the Super Bowl. Now, Brad, another thing I pointed out was, and I know it wasn't Ed Policy that made this urgency comment, but where the hell's the urgency this week? The Chargers fired their offensive coordinator. Philly fired their offensive coordinator. The Steelers parted ways with their head coach, or I guess the head coach parted ways with them. Regardless, teams that lost last weekend in the wild card round of the playoffs have made moves. And whether that's a LaFleur extension or kissing Rich Bisaccia goodbye or changing the offensive line coach, it's been 6 days. There hasn't been a single peep out of Lambeau Field. Where's the urgency there?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I would have thought we'd have a resolution by now for sure. That's why I'm just dying to know what the final terms of this deal are, money, length, the whole thing. Because maybe the sense of urgency that Policy is operating with is I am drawing a line in the sand. I will not give Matt LaFleur the big extension. I will not make it 4 years. I will not make it $20 million a year. That the sense of urgency I have will be reflected in a shorter deal, and Matt LaFleur is going to have to take it or he won't have to take it. I do think that the longer this goes on, the more it's revealing that Ed Policy is having some uncertainty, right? I mean, where it's like the moment to commit and he's getting a little bit of cold feet, or he's at least stacking the deck in his favor to where he can bail if he needs to this time next year. And I don't think Matt LaFleur has any interest in doing that, knowing he can go on the open market and, get security and be beloved and probably near reset the coaching market.
I'm curious if the Goody contract negotiations has anything to do with it. Like if they want him and Matt LaFleur to be in lockstep, or they're trying to finalize one before the other. I think that could have an effect on the delay. What do you think?
What's also weird is the head coach and the GM, when their peak seasons are different times. Like right now, it's logical to renegotiate and set terms for a head coach. It is the exact opposite time you want to do that with a GM. This is when a GM season starts. When you talk about getting ready for the draft, getting ready for free agency, normally you would have these discussions with your GM after the draft. You have this is his season. So you go through free agency, you go through evaluation, you go through the draft, and it's late spring, sometime during the summer, when a logical extension for the GM takes place. So that's why if these are linked, it's a strange time for Goody, because Goody's probably like, listen, we got the Senior Bowl coming up. I'm doing all these things.
Do you want me to do my job or no?
Yeah, seriously. So it's a strange time to work on
these people have agents for a reason.
That's true. That's true. But it's being relayed back to him for sure.
But as Jason and I talked about yesterday on Weekly Wildy, which you can find in the Irrelevant podcast feed every Thursday through the Super Bowl, he's operating like he's the head coach next year. He's going into the building every year. He's under contract. So if there's times to make changes and you're operating like you're the head coach, let's go. Let's go. You're going to miss the boat, man. Like the boat's leaving.
But what if he fires Rich Bisaccia and then in 2 days they go their separate ways? Like, isn't that just like isn't that weird from timing? Isn't he the first domino that needs to fall anyway before he makes any moves?
That would tell me that they don't know what they're doing. Like if they're just like coming to terms on firing him, like you said, days after LaFleur or Bisaccia, I would be like, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, correct. That'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And this is not an embarrassing franchise, despite the fact how they lost on Saturday. They're not an embarrassing franchise.
Like the Steelers and Tomlin figuring that out the day after told me that they know what they want and they know what they're going to do to move forward and be better than last season. Like that I think as a fan, that's comforting to know that they're getting out ahead of it.
I fully expect LaFleur to be back.
I would agree.
But then again, I mean, Dr. Denver Dan chimes in, FMJ chimes in, right? Like they expect Bisaccia to be back because it's taken this long. But again, this is where the urgency comment comes back up.
Yeah.
Because if the Packers aren't replacing at least two of their three coordinators next year, for one reason or another, right? Whether Hafley gets a job or Bisaccia gets fired, et cetera, et cetera. If they're not replacing at least two of their three coordinators going into next year, I view that as a failure. I view that as you are not addressing the elephant in the room. You are not willing to admit your own mistakes to the level in which you need to. And that's where, what are we waiting for? It's been 6 days. Other teams are doing it. This is your time to start interviewing prospects and figuring out if you need a new offensive coordinator, if you need a new special teams coordinator. Obviously, they're kind of hoping, I would assume, that Halfley doesn't get a head coaching job so they can bring him back and don't need to fill that void. But there needs to be a level of urgency in terms of your coaching staff makeup, because it hasn't been good enough. You need fresh ideas in the room. And if you're going to go forward with LaFleur, then let's go. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, and I just wonder, again, with structure and say, is policy saying to LaFleur, look, you're going to get your extension, but as part of this, you need to do this, 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 and this. Is that upsetting LaFleur? Is LaFleur taking that as, wait, this is my job. You're telling me how to do my job.
Sure.
You're extending me to make those decisions. Because you're exactly right, Strouf. When you look at the landscape, you already have one head coach reportedly hired in John Harbaugh. I would expect by this time next week, of the remaining 8 spots that are filled, 6 of the 8 are filled.
Yeah,
I would say. And then at that point, it's a tidal wave of interviews. They already probably know their guys. There's not an abundance of capable assistant coaches in the NFL. There's just not. So Matt LaFleur is going to have to fire the people he needs to, put names on a wall, and you're talking about not just one. It's not like he's just looking for a new O coordinator. It's probably a whole new defensive staff. It's probably a special teams coach, and it's probably several people on the offensive staff. Like that, it's hard to know. He's almost like he's taking on a new team, and he needs to start the refresh button. There's nothing easy about trying to interview and hire quality candidates for an entire staff.
Jim Leonard and, well, actually, they probably won't interview Jim Leonard because he turned them down a few years ago, according to reports. Al Harris, maybe, the new DC.
Harris?
That'd be sweet.
I would love some former Packer greats in there.
That'd be sweet.
That would be sweet.
Aaron Rodgers, OC.
Ooh, could you imagine? I need him just for the content. That's what I need. I need him just for the content.
Could you imagine? That'd be so sweet.
Director of medicine.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite former Packers that were coaches, Kevin Green.
Absolutely.
Kevin
RIP.
Green.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst thing to have some old timers, some old heads in there that were part of the Packers, and guys can respect and be able to look up to. When I was on the Panthers, we had Ricky Prohl was the wide receivers coach. Keenan McCardell, was the Jags wide receiver coach, who's now in Minnesota. So I just think like when a coach,
that's a great name,
is a guy that you have like looked up to, there's almost like a whoa moment, and then he just becomes Coach McCardell or Coach Ricky. But
were you running with the receivers a lot or what?
I was, just taking a peek and say, hey, just throw one over here, Blake. Throw one over here, Blake.
All right, before we let you get out of here, Will, are you familiar with the movie Bad Luck Chuck?
Yes. Is that the guy that dates the girls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dane Cook is the actor in that movie.
Dane Cook.
Oh, yeah.
Bad Luck Brad last weekend in the wild card round. The first three games, Panthers, Packers, Jags, so the two teams he played for and the team he grew up rooting for and talks about on a daily basis.
Yes.
0 for 3.
I literally tweeted Saturday morning, Panthers, Packers, Jags. First 3 game of wild cards. Never in my life have all 3 been in there. I guess 96.
96
all
they probably
3 were
were
in there, but didn't nearly have the affinity for the Panthers and Jags like I do now. I couldn't be happier. That's what my tweet said. Couldn't be happier. By the time Sunday at 3:30 rolled around, I was like, I don't know why I do this.
You had your heart ripped out of your chest 3 times. Those are like the 3 closest games of the weekend.
Yeah, each game was thrilling, came down to the wire. There was I didn't have a whole lot of, I thought the Panthers were an indicator. I thought, okay, they played with the Rams. I'm going to at least get a couple more wins down the chute here, but it was heartbreaking. And there are moments where I'll never actually lose my fanhood, but there's moments like, why am I a fan? Why do I do this to myself?
Yeah, Gabe Neitzel has said it best many times. Football is not fun.
Football is not fun.
I can't
Zero
imagine
fun, sir.
Losing once a weekend sucks. I can't imagine losing 3 times. Sorry, I'm not trying to pile on.
You feel like you're spreading out and hedging your bet, but in fact, the house is just scooping up all the chips in front of you. I'll say I'll take each one of those 3. Thank you very much.
All right, rapid fire. Give me your gut check on Divisional Round weekend. Bills at Broncos is the first game, maybe the best game of the weekend. I'm looking forward to that one.
I think that when you have the best player, I think, on the planet, Josh Allen, I think the Bills get the win. I think this is the year for the Bills.
You do?
I do.
And we talked about it a little bit last week. It felt like the winner of that game probably had a really good shot to represent the AFC. Yeah. Now, the Jags lose. They were the 3 seed. Bills are the 6 seed. They've got to win 2 more road games to get there.
They do. And I think that it might just be one of those years where a great team found themselves in a wild card round. I also think that the Broncos are one of those teams that is young, inexperienced, never been in this situation before. Sean Payton has, but the team hasn't, so I don't think a week off actually benefits them. Being at home, mild high, definitely a benefit. Week off, I think they come out slow, and I think that the Bills come out fast, and I think that that's the difference.
Closest spread of the weekend, Denver 1.5 point favorite. Tomorrow night, oh, God, there's a lot of good games this weekend. Niners, Seahawks, NFC West battle in Seattle.
Well, did you see that Sam Darnold, questionable?
Yeah.
How do you strain you?
It's Drew Lock time, baby.
It's crazy. I think Darnold plays. I think Seattle.
Yeah.
I go Seattle. 49ers, the injuries catch up with them.
Darnold has said he's playing, but you got to get cleared.
Yeah.
Seahawks are still 7-point favorites, too.
That is
They're
nuts.
a really good team.
They're so good. They're complete.
They're a really good team. Texans and Patriots, two solid defenses going toe to toe.
I got Patriots. I think I love Vrabel. I think what he's done there. And Drake May is just a remarkable second-year quarterback.
The schedule.
Really
Drake, the schedule, man.
Oh, wow. Coming from a guy who...
Drake,
that Drake May's probably better than Caleb Williams.
Drake, the schedule, May.
Yeah, Drake, May, the schedule.
Yeah, indeed, the schedule. Patriots are 3-point favorites in that one, and then the game Will be at. Will spent. Are you going to reveal how much you spent or no?
Trying to think of a way to put it without giving the exact dollar amount. Oh, what the hell? $500.
$500
For one ticket.
That was a steal, though.
Not every day. Not every day do the Bears play in the divisional round at home.
That's
I haven't
true.
been to any games this year. I was like, I'll use my allotted money that I would have used on going to games just for this one.
How are your seats?
Horrible. I mean, they're not bad seats, but they're in like the 400 level. It's going to be really
for $500.
cold. It's going to be really cold up there.
Rams are significantly the better team, but man, the cold. I don't think they do well in the cold. I think there is a real chance Bears are in the NFC Championship.
It's crazy that the cold actually is going to make it. Like when people ask me why I think the Bears are going to win, it's just because it's going to be freezing.
And the way they play, I think, lends itself to that. Right? It's almost the way Ben Johnson built it. I'm going to still go with the Rams, but that's the one game where I'm like, yeah, I could see it. I could easily see it.
If they don't, if they keep it close to the fourth
game
quarter,
away from the Super Bowl, Strouf.
Don't say that to me. Don't say that to me. Rams are 4.5 point favorites over under 48.5, which is the largest of the weekend. All right, we'll revisit divisional round. We'll talk more with Brad. Brad, by the way, the stat of the day that Hunter has come up with every time you join us.
Oh yes.
In 2016, you led the NFL in something. Do you know what it was?
2016. It's my first year with the Jags. What did I lead the NFL in? Oh, wait. All NFL or punters?
Punters. Well, yes, all of the NFL, but also punters.
My fake punt was 2017.
You don't know.
Punts inside the 20? I don't know.
No, you have the longest punt.
I had the longest punt. Oh, wait, let me think of what it was. Do you have that, Hunter?
Yes.
I didn't put that much work in. I know how long it is. I don't know what game you did it in.
Do we have a video? Oh, I guess
We don't
not.
have a video, yeah.
Stupid question.
Yeah, I think it was in London against the Colts.
Okay.
I think it was in the 70s.
It's sort of high 70s, bro.
High 70s.
78-yard punt.
78-yard punt. I know for a fact I had a 74-yarder and a 76-yarder in the air, one with Carolina, one with Jacksonville. Clearly, this was the longest one. What game was that?
Is there?
I think
If
it
it's
might
in
have been
London, is there like a higher elevation where the ball flies there?
There's
or
not.
like-
In fact, it's kind of like it's London. It's like moisture in the air and the slick field. And
Yeah, you're talking to two really well experienced travelers here.
Yeah.
We know all
I don't-
about this. Yes.
And I
Never left the
believe
country.
My
I
longest
have
punt
once.
the next year was also in London. There's something about playing footy, boys. We're playing footy on the pitch.
All right, we're done here.
The ball just pops off the old leg.
I hated every moment of that, and that will do it for us. Brad Nortman
Thanks, boys.
with us every Friday at 12:45. You can hear him, of course, beginning at 2 o'clock with Ben Brust and Kyle Wallace and me on KBN from 2 to 5 each and every day on ESPN Wisconsin. Brad was good today. Brad was
Fun
good
Brad.
today. Fun Brad.
He's fun. He's happy despite all three of his teams losing.
Yeah, he was. Here's the thing, man. Like, I imagine there's a level of like you lose investment in terms of as a fan when you play in the league. Something you and I, A, will never experience, and B, we're way too invested to begin with as
I wish I
a
did.
Packers and a Bears fan, respectively. So, yeah. So that's
At times I wish I did lose that.
that's where we're at. So those are Brad's divisional picks. We will give our final thoughts on the divisional round in a moment, but I want to go back to the Packers and talk about this. The fact that there's no news. Right, and we kind of just talked about it a little bit with Brad, but no news on Matt LaFleur, no news on Brian Gutekunst, no news on staff changes. that should tell you something, right? And it's what a lot of people fear in the YouTube chat, which is Bisaccia hasn't been fired. That probably just means he's coming back, right? Butkus and Stanovich, no news there. That probably just means they're coming back, right? I think that should tell you something, whether that is they don't know what they're doing next year at head coach, and Matt LaFleur and the Packers are still deciding what the best avenue is 6 days removed from the playoff loss. I think the fact that there's no news should tell you that that is news. And maybe it's just nobody's revealed that Matt LaFleur is just going to coach at the final year of his deal, at least for the time being. Or, they're not going to make any significant changes because they chalk up a bad year to injuries. The fact that Brian Gutekunst isn't speaking with the media after the season. The silence is deafening to a point. And I view the fact that there has been no news 6 days removed from the loss in Chicago as news. And I think that a lot's just going to stay the same. I hope I'm wrong on that. Because I do think there are some significant changes necessary to the Packers to really get to that level of what Goody said 1 year ago today, Hunter, that they should start competing for championships.
Yeah, I think it's time that we start competing for championships.
Yeah. I think significant changes are needed. But the fact that there's been no news tells me that might actually be the news. Nothing's changing. But I could be viewing this incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, do you think if the Packers were worried about losing Matt LaFleur that they would have already done this?
Say that again.
Like, if the Packers were worried about losing Matt LaFleur, they probably would have already gotten a deal done, right? Like, on the flip side of it.
I don't think they're necessarily worried about losing him.
Yeah, I mean, the Schefter reports are that a deal will get done.
So, hold on. I just want to clear up some confusion because now multiple people on YouTube have said this. Jamie/Jaime from Orlando. He's not fired because LaFleur is still up in the air. He's referring to Bisaccia. Mr. Miyagi. Wonderful username. Good to see you in the YouTube chat. Wax on, wax off. Assistants are fired by LaFleur, so no one is getting fired until Matt LaFleur has a deal. Something we are all missing. Again, Matt LaFleur is under contract. Matt LaFleur has a contract through next season. Regardless of if he gets an extension or not, Matt LaFleur is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers today. It's not like he's just sitting at home waiting to go back to work. He's going to work. He's in the building. He is working. He is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. I don't think every day this week has been him and Ed Policy and their agents sitting in a conference room debating for hours on end what the contract looks like. That's not what his day-to-day has been this week. His day-to-day this week has been he's doing his job. I imagine his agent is handling 95% of the negotiation if it's even ongoing, like it was reported earlier in the week. So Matt LaFleur can still fire an assistant 5 days ago, 4 days ago, 3 days ago, or today. He still can. He's the head coach. He's under contract for 2026. And I think because we've talked so much about the contract, maybe some of us forget that he actually is employed still and he is under contract and he is the head coach. He can fire an assistant getting on the plane on Saturday. He's under contract. But to your point, maybe that's telling you this isn't going well. Maybe that is telling you his agent is saying, well, they might actually be leaning towards separating. Or trading you, I guess, could still be on the table, although that's incredibly unlikely and so rare in the NFL. But that's that. So, Jamie, Mr. Miyagi, I hear you. I don't think that plays as big of a role as it should. Jamie says, okay, so if they're working out, possibly trading him, these are all things that you can't do until you know what's happening with it. That is fair. If that's legitimately something that could pop up, but I don't know. I think the idea of trading Matt LaFleur is unlikely, but I guess they are short a few first-round picks the next 2 years. But although, does Matt LaFleur go for a first round? I don't know what coaches get traded for. What did the Saints get for Sean Payton?
I think they got a first round.
I'll look it up. There's been like 4 head coaching trades all time in the league. So it's happened, but it just hasn't happened often.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's incredibly unlikely and would be silly, but man, it's the NFL. Silly stuff happens all the time. All right, a couple last things on LaFleur. We'll get to the divisional round. We'll get to what we missed in just a moment. But Will, any final thoughts on LaFleur as we're going to close out the entire week without an update?
For some reason, all of these, I don't want to call it like Goody being incapable or Goody or Ed Policy, whoever's working on signing Matt LaFleur to the extension, I think the struggle to get that done has given some credence to Matt LaFleur. And then Justice Mosqueda writes the article about the assistant coaches being all hired internally. And then, you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, so let me get this straight. The GM is drafting guys to develop them. He's a developmental GM. And at the same time, all the assistant coaches are developing at the same time because you're hiring them internally. You're not going and getting really established guys. And then Matt LaFleur is just sitting at the top of it, having to manage all that. I don't know. With all the conversations about the extension and Goody and Policy, I think that was one hole being poked in the bag, and now there's a couple different holes being poked in the wall of Brian Gutekunst and Ed Policy.
Yeah. Yeah, we will see. But I thought Rob Domofsky did make a good point in contrast to the Justice Mosqueda article we talked about on Wednesday with the lack of experience amongst the assistant coaches in Green Bay. Tom Clements did retire this past offseason. He had 32 years of experience, so that's going to knock that number down quite a bit in the National Football League. Or I guess it was technically in the NFL, it was just under 30 years because he spent several years as Notre Dame's quarterbacks coach. But he had been there. He'd been in New Orleans. He had been in Kansas City in the 90s and 2000s, and then he wound up in Green Bay for his first stint with Aaron Rodgers in 2006, or the year after they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and had been there with exception to a few years. Took a few years off after 2016. But anyway, neither here nor there. Important to note that, though.
Did some head coaching trade research here.
Yes, talk to me.
So 1999, Holmgren to Seattle. Seattle sent Green Bay a second-round pick.
Second round, yep, I knew that.
2002, John Gruden's. His was 2 first-round picks and $8 million to go from Oakland to Tampa. More recently, Sean Payton's was a first and a third for him. Bruce Arians was just a 6th-round pick. Herm Edwards was a 4th. That was back in Herm went from the Jets to Kansas City, and that was 2006. So, some guys have gotten some first. Belichick got a first in 97. Don Shula got a first in 1970 to go from the Baltimore Colts to the Miami Dolphins. So there is history of first-round picks being sent. But, the teams that would do that, I think, aren't teams where Matt LaFleur would really be set up in a spot. Baltimore and Pittsburgh aren't doing that. And those are the two kind of most win-now jobs. The rest of them, LaFleur would have to completely rebuild everything, and I don't think he would want to do that. So he's kind of in a spot of okay, I'm going to stay here, or you're going to release me, because those teams aren't going to be dumb enough to trade a pick.
So Sean Payton is the most recent example, and you said it was a first and a third?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, so number one, I would assume Matt LaFleur would get more than Sean Payton.
Because wasn't Sean Payton technically retired at the time?
He was doing TV for
he was
that
still
year.
Under contract with the Saints.
Yeah.
He took 2022 off, and then 23 replaced Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach of the Broncos. Something I either forgot about or didn't know at all about Sean Payton, which he was suspended the entirety of the 2012 season. That I remember. I didn't realize he was an offensive coordinator for a high school Texas football team. High school Texas.
Pretty sure there's a movie about it.
Yeah. And Kevin James.
Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin James plays him, which feels a little disrespectful to Sean Payton.
Very much so. He just looks nothing like
the
Sean
film
Payton.
Home Team. What is that all about?
I've watched it because I'm a sucker for bad movies. I like watching bad movies. It's horrible.
The film tells the story. Oh, it's about that.
Yeah.
That's I literally the first.
Yeah, that's what we told you.
I thought it was
you
about
just
the
didn't
life
want to
of Sean
believe us.
Payton. No, I didn't realize it was only about that particular element of his life. I thought it was like the entire story of Sean Payton. I never had any interest in seeing it.
There's a movie strictly about that.
That's the Kevin James one, where he doesn't look like Sean Payton at all. Yeah, got it.
You don't think so?
I'm really going out on a limb there, aren't I? Dr. Denver Dan, unknown fact, Sean Payton is a Richard. I think that's kind of known, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think he's the most well-liked guy in the world.
I like how we're just yelling out obvious things here today.
He said unknown fact. I mean, he lives in Denver, so maybe he's got the inside scoop on that.
He confirmed it.
Jamie
Doesn't
says
tip
Matt
waiters.
won't get a first, maybe a second rounder. I disagree with that.
If a retired Sean Payton gets a first and a third, LaFleur's at least getting a first and a second.
like, I think Sean Payton, maybe not by the Broncos, but by other people, it's been viewed, okay, maybe the game's passed them by a little bit. And obviously that's not the case. He's the 1 seed in the AFC this year with a young team. But Matt LaFleur is still viewed as like an up-and-comer. He's still viewed as a guy who has a lot of tread left on the tires and could be a head coach of a franchise for decades. So he would definitely get a first-round pick if they were to trade him. And they wouldn't without that.
Did you know Matt LaFleur was the oldest NFC head coach in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I did by about, I think it was by like a month. He just had, I forget who it was, maybe
Mike McDonald, maybe?
Who was the 6th seed? Shanahan? I think he had Shanahan by a few months.
I wonder if his time, he might retire soon.
Yeah, what is he, 43?
People are asking. That's always the joke made about Jordan Love, too, because he was like technically his first year as a starter, he was like 26 or 25. So the joke is always he's going to retire soon because he's old. He's like 30.
I'm sick of you.
By the way, just for on the ESPN Milwaukee chat, want to address this with Sean, who said Peyton won a Super Bowl. Come on, guys. Yeah, Sean Payton won that Super Bowl in 2010. So 12 years after he had won the Super Bowl, he got traded. Mm-hmm. Like, if we're talking at the time that Sean Payton got traded to now, Matt LaFleur's stock much higher than Sean Payton's at that time.
Yeah, it was the year before the Packers won the Super Bowl, when Mike McCarthy won the Super Bowl. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, what was up
A
with
long time ago.
saying that fact? We know they won the Super Bowl. What were you trying to accomplish by adding that Mike McCarthy won it?
Because I'm glad you asked. You're right. I explained it poorly. Why I bring up, not only do I want to brag, but Mike McCarthy is not viewed the same way Sean Payton is, and that's always bothered me. It's always bothered me.
Is Mike McCarthy, he's in this coaching cycle, right?
He's got a good shot to get a job.
He has to get a job. There's too many openings.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the Pittsburgh job.
But go back home.
I was talking about this with our content director here in Madison. It almost feels like Matt LaFleur's stuff is kind of holding things up a little bit for these last few days, and it's only going to last a few days longer. But that, I think, is kind of Pittsburgh's like, well, if LaFleur, but let's bring the Pittsburgh guy back and see. And as a bigger fella, I think that's a part of the thing with Mike McCarthy, is that because he's a bigger fella, people feel like it's low-hanging fruit to kind of rip on him a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him great.
We did this already this week. We're done. We're done. Yeah, McCarthy in Pittsburgh, the Pat McAfee show would be...
It'd be awesome. Sometimes you got to go back to go forward.
Dude, and then his Pittsburgh accent would just really come back to him because he spent so much time in Wisconsin and then Texas. So it would really just start flooding back for him. Oh, it'd be so good. I'd watch every one of those press conferences.
He's lived in some interesting places in terms of accents, right? Like Wisconsin's got an accent, South accent in Texas. He's from Pittsburgh. He was in California for a while, obviously with San Francisco before he got the Green Bay job. So he's just got like all the accents built in. Yins or Mike, Oliver chimes in. Okay, let's recap Divisional Round weekend our way. And we're going to go backwards because I want to start with the game Will is attending, and I want to hear his game plan, what he's wearing, etc., because it's going to be very, very cold out. 21 degrees, it says, at kickoff.
It's going to be colder than that. Wind chill.
Isn't wind chill like -8 they're expecting?
I've seen, and 20-mile-per-hour winds.
And if you're up in the 400s, like that's going to be coming probably right through that opening in the stadium, right into your face. That's going to suck.
Oh, yeah.
I feel really bad.
I'm actually
for you.
I'm literally sitting like right next to the, like, Soldier Field has like that little, what is it called? Like a slit in it?
Yep.
Like a crease?
The opening.
What? Strouf's laughing at me. That was the right word to use.
Real talk for you, Will. With how cold this is going to be, does Soldier Field let you bring in like pieces of cardboard to stand on so you don't have to stand on the concrete?
Yeah, I think I don't know, because I saw something where they weren't letting people do that anymore, but you can bring blankets in. So I don't really understand the law or the rules for bringing things in.
The law.
We're planning on bringing blankets, but when a tailgate happens, I wouldn't keep it on the table. That we might forget the blankets.
I would assume so. So, okay, it's a 5:30 kickoff Central Time on Sunday night. You are arriving to the Stadium District at what time?
I think we're getting there at 11 a.m.
So you're giving yourself about 6.5 hours before kickoff to tailgate.
Yeah.
So I assume you are taking pride in the fact that you will at some point absorb a liquid blanket.
100%. Yeah. That's like, I'm layering down to
over under 11.5 beers before entering the stadium. Will you drink an entire 12-pack?
I think that's fair with the amount of time before the game.
That's 2 beers an hour.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's doable. Might be some cocktails, too. Maybe not just beers. So we'll have to see. But I think that's doable. That's probably what'll happen. I'm more nervous and curious in-game because I've been thinking about this a lot because I've had some time and it's all I've been able to think about. Like, how are the beers going to affect the warmth of my hand? Because I'm going to have to take my gloves off to open it.
Well, they open it for you. You're at a stadium.
Okay.
They don't give you full beers unopened.
Forgot about that.
Yep.
Okay, that pretty much abolishes my...
less aerodynamic.
Yeah.
If it's open. Hand warmers. That's what I've always done.
Getting my wallet out, though.
In the glove. Well, that's where you have to be smart, right? Like, you have to put the card you're going to use most often, whether it's a credit or a debit card or whatever. I would put it like...
Oh, Apple Pay. Got it.
That's also an option. It is 2026.
I do get ID'd, though, because I look like I'm 18 apparently.
I don't want to show my credit card number by any means, so I'm just going to use my driver's license. My move is like, I go like this, right? So I flip it up, and then that way you can just pull it out.
Or if your coat has like the chest pocket, you can pop it right up there, and then it's a little bit easier right there.
Just have your ID and your card right there.
I'm going jersey over, so won't be able to do that.
What jersey are you wearing?
Jalen Johnson.
The All-Pro.
The All-Pro. Strouf
do
made
you
fun of
have
me for him being selected by other people to be an All-Pro.
I heard you mention gloves. Do you have mittens instead? I know it's not the most manly looking, but having your fingers, as a former Boy Scout, having your fingers together inside the mitten is actually warmer than gloves.
Can we just time out for a moment? We've got Will's chess club experience and Hunter's Boy Scout experience on today's show. These are things I didn't know about you guys, and I've worked with I've worked with Hunter for years. I've worked with you for a year. I didn't know you played chess. What the hell's going on today?
You just underestimated how much of a smart fellows we are.
Yeah, we're multifaceted human beings.
Hunter, something I used to do when I played baseball was when I was riding the bench is put surgical gloves, like doctor gloves, underneath your cold weather gloves because they make your hands sweat.
But when it's that cold, that sweat then can like freeze and make you more cold. So that's the danger there. And that's why, like, with the drinking, like, layering down because you expect the drinks to make you feel warmer isn't going to make you safer in the cold. So keep the high level of layers.
Who's winning the game? I'm done talking about this. Who's winning the game?
The Bears.
I got the Rams.
Matthew Stafford 1-8 in cold weather games.
Well, still a 1 there.
Sean McVay, bad cold weather coach as well. So Bears are winning.
The Bears too.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game.
That Hunter picked the Bears. I feel like Hunter's been picking against the Bears all year.
Ever since they beat up on the Cowboys the way they did.
This is good. You're in his head. Stop talking. This is good.
I hate
It's a good thing. We want
pick the Bears.
We want you in his head. This is good. 2:00 Sunday, Texans at Patriots. This is a really intriguing game for a variety of reasons. I got the Patriots.
Me too. CJ Stroud's ass.
Yeah, I don't know.
He played really bad against the Steelers.
I don't know how good he is.
We need to do an updated end of season ass rankings, by the way.
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can do that.
We'll have to do that when Josh is back. There's just something about I'm going to do the Patriots. I thought about the Texans for a moment.
They're intriguing. I have an eyelash in my left eye right now, and
they're bad. Frisky ass.
They might be frisky.
Patriots got their feet under them now after that ugly game against the Chargers. Kind of what Brad was talking about with the Broncos.
7:00 Saturday night, tomorrow night, 49ers and Seahawks. I actually think this is my favorite game of the weekend. Now, it was not good when they played in Week 18, but I expect more points this time around. Because what was it, 13-3, I think, in Week 18?
Yeah, old Big Ten West matchup.
It sure was. I do not expect more of that on Saturday night, but I'm really excited for this game. Brad said it. Niners are really beat up. Seahawks are really good. I agree with the pick, but I think it's a close game, and it has the potential to be the best game of the weekend. I'll take the Seahawks to win.
I also am going to take the Seahawks. I think Sam Darnold finally breaks free of his playoff curse of just being horrible. Defense is so good, too.
Yeah, I like the Seahawks. I should see if I can break out. I've got a Russell Wilson Seahawks jersey. I think I might try and break that out.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Because he was a Badger?
Yeah, because he was a Badger,
Yeah,
for sure.
So then I was obsessed with that Seahawks run.
Bills at Broncos is the first game of the weekend. That is tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 on CBS. It is in Denver. Denver, a 1.5 favorite, closest spread of the weekend. This is the one I can't figure out. I have no idea who to pick in this game. I think I like the Bills, but I don't love that matchup for them against a good or a good defense. They do have the best player in the world, and certainly the best player remaining in the postseason, in Josh Allen. I think I like the Bills, but I'm not sold on it.
I'm going to take the Broncos. I think Josh Allen, literally, we saw it in the first round, is going to have to do everything himself, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do that against a good Broncos defense.
I'm going to go the Bills. This is more I want it to happen, but they've got to eventually get back to a Super Bowl, right? Like, they have to.
Yeah, I would think so. Eventually. But you never know, man. It's the NFL for you. All right, we wrap up the show, as always, with what we missed. To continue our conversation from earlier in the week, Peta won. Bo Bichette signs with the New York Mets.
I think $40 million a year won, but okay.
I also agree with that.
I wonder if he's taking them up on the lifetime supply.
Other news in the MLB, though. Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers.
It's ridiculous.
The lockout next year is going to go so crazy, dude.
I mean,
the lockout. There was without a doubt a lockout happening after the season.
You don't even blink
MLB.
when this stuff happens anymore. It's like, of course.
No, the
Kyle
Dodgers
Tucker.
just assemble the Avengers, and they're going to win the World Series and everything else. It's irritating.
I gotta find this stat, but someone said that without postponed payments to Shohei Ohtani, their payroll this year is $2 billion. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's just fine for them, which is even more irritating.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Give the Brewers a chance.
I mean,
the Dodgers back-to-back World Series champions, but no, it's fine. Have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, have
literally
Shohei Ohtani, have
anybody.
Kyle Tucker, have
Blake
Mookie
Snell.
Betts, have Blake Snell, have Tyler Glass. Now
$2.14 billion in guaranteed salary.
That's crazy.
That's more than the bottom 13 MLB teams combined.
It's crazy.
Quickly, ESPN Milwaukee chat. Mike, get out of my head. Because he was exactly right. And the Dodgers are spending so much on their roster at this point that they could just dig up Babe Ruth and bring him back to life, and they'd probably be spending about the same amount of money. $2 billion.
I apologize to our non-live audience who can't read what Hunter's
I was
reading.
just going to ignore it after that.
Way to appeal to the audience.
Mike says Hunter needs the Bills to get back, so he has hope his Cowboys do the same. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, there's your MLB update. I just can't wait for the lockout.
We're gonna have
Dr.
to do
Denver Dan says
lockout
Why
updates
did
every
you say
show.
it's gonna go crazy?
I've never rooted for a lockout before in my life. It has to happen. BZB3 says America's pastime representing America. That's a good comment. Yeah, exactly. The rich get richer. Okay, well, there you have it. Why did I say the lockout's going to go crazy?
Yeah, wouldn't you rather them be playing baseball?
No, I want the lockout. It's going to be the best drama ever.
Big fan.
Yeah,
It's gonna
we're
be
going to
awesome
get
drama.
Jeff
I don't think
Passan doing
Not a true
updates on
baseball
Sports Center
appreciator.
every day about the drama and the stuff that's being said between the players
it's gonna be
union and the
awesome.
owners. Oh, so good.
I do always envision them actually just locked in a hotel meeting room and they don't leave until they figure it out, which is always a funny.
They
image.
should do that and televise it.
Yes.
What's the channel C-SPAN that always has the house floor on television?
Yes, MLB Network could do that.
Yes, bingo. MLB Network should turn into the hotel.
What if they
meeting room.
did the drawings from court? For the people that aren't there, and they do the drawings of what it looks like.
They might
for
actually
the
do
MLB
that.
lockout.
But a non-artist.
I guess so. With all the legal implications, they might do that.
They might actually do. I don't know that there will be cameras in the room, so we will see. All right, that does it for us today. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Oh, you have words. Sorry.
How do you spell fodder? I was waiting to ask.
I don't know.
Google usually gets pretty
FODDER.
close.
Well, the way I spelled it, it kept auto-correcting to father.
No, you were looking for fodder, FODDER. I think.
Food, especially dried hay or feed for cattle and other livestock.
I think you're looking for a different one.
Okay, this might have to be a next time thing.
A person or thing regarded only as material for a specific use. Meaning, if they give us media fodder, you say something that allows us to talk about it.
Okay, back to being the dumbest person on Mr. Relevant. Also wearing a Connor Bedard sweatshirt today.
In Josh's seat.
Yeah, for the guy.
For the guy. All right, that does it for us today. We will talk to you on Friday. We talked to you on Friday. We will talk to you on Monday beginning at 12:30 Central. ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube is where we stream live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Otherwise available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the ESPN Wisconsin app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, even if you hang out with us on YouTube. If you ever miss an episode, you'll know, and there's always extra bonus episodes dropping in the Mr. Irrelevant feed, including Weekly Wildy every Thursday. So make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on the ESPN Wisconsin app. We will talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Make decent decisions. Peace.